Okay, go.
Welcome back to part 4 of Harley Davidson Enthusiast for 1941. We are still on the very first one. There's 12 of them, so I don't know how many parts we're going to make. So again, this is very first Enthusiast, which is January 41. And look who's made it to the cover. Our last part 3, this is the missus here in their trusty 45 Steve. You can totally tell it's a 36 in this photo. Josh
Raise the book up. There.
That was the story we just read, part 3. Now we're going to go part 4. And this is extensive. This is news from the clubs. So we might make a part 5 and a part 6 from news from the clubs. We'll see. So before we start reading, let's have a look at this photo here. You see all the riders out on their ride. All the beautiful motorcycles.
Lower the book.
Everybody's waving.
Mm-hmm.
It says, it's a bright summer morning when the members of the Dixie Motorcycle Club of Atlanta, Georgia were snapped on their way to their annual gypsy tour at Clear Lake. Atlanta Journal photo. News from the clubs by Hap Hayes. Wacko Motorcycle Club, Wacko, Texas. Wacko's been in the news. We started our new year October 1st with the election of officers for the new year as follows. Billy Knowles, President. Vernon Stark, Vice President. Marcus Knowles, Secretary. And Treasurer Boyden Graham, Assistant Secretary. And Treasurer W.B. Bradshaw. Road Captain E.H. Latham, Referee. Other than the regular meetings during the month, the club held a wiener roast. And on October 6th, we held a closed club field meet, which Billy Knowles took first place in points. Boyd Graham second, Vernon Stark third. In the ladies' events, Mrs. Stark first, Mrs. Bill Knowles second, and Mrs. Graham third. During November, the club staged a turkey run with the competition being very hot with only 3 points difference in the first 6 men. A combination scavenger and treasure hunt was held to have something new with Boyd Graham first, Vernon Stark and Billy Knowles tied for second. W.B. Bradshaw third and Eugene Latham fourth. Activity contest ended in another tight scramble with Marcus Knowles, W.B. Bradshaw, and Vernon Stark tied for the trophy. Baltimore Ramblers Motorcycle Club, Baltimore, Maryland. On December 11th, 1940, we held election of officers, and the following were elected. Basil Morris, President. Walter Westfield, Vice President. Bob McGill, Treasurer. Clayton Phillips, Secretary. Lawrence Garrison, Corresponding Secretary. Bill Fishbaugh, Road Captain and Referee. Benson McKenzie, Assistant Road Captain. Edgar Buell, Sergeant at Arms. Now, I'm going to stop for a second. Today's equivalent would be the HUG chapters. And I have no idea at all whether they actually send in reports like this to Harley Davidson. I've got a bunch of these enthusiasts, and this is the first time I've ever bothered to extensively read them like what I'm doing for everybody. So I'm reading this for the first time as you're hearing this for the first time. So my opinion is that all the clubs must have sent in their reports to Harley Davidson, and then they picked which ones to put in the Enthusiast magazine based upon interest, or they actually got it, I suppose. But the fact it's even in here to that detail is pretty impressive. We would like to take this opportunity to give you a little news of our club. We held 2 races this year. The first in June, which was a success. The second in August, which we think would have been another success if the rain had waited a little longer. In October, we held our closed club endurance run, which was a great success. It was enjoyed by all, followed by a banquet where the prizes were presented. We also held a turkey run, and last Sunday we held a hot dog roast and hill climb, which turned out to be rather sloppy, but a good time was had by all. We extend to all motorcycle clubs, both in Canada and the United States, the best of luck and many happy miles for the coming year. Now this is important. In October, we held our closed club endurance run. In other words, it was just our club, and endurance run are essentially a time trial, or a distance of how fast you can get from here to there over a period of hours or days, depending on how it's set up. Why this is important is because the books and literature and MotorNation.com and all them people are saying Harley Davidson entered racing with the advent when they came out with a 4-valve. That's a crock of shit. Harley Davidson started from the outset with races. The very first prototype in '04 was entered into an endurance race. And all through the pre-teens, they were endurance contests, which Harley Davidson won every one they entered that I'm aware of. And I know this because I had the magazines from the era, and I read them. With a bit of luck, we'll be able to buy that stuff back and read it out for everybody. And make it all public knowledge once again. My lights are going off. Lovely. So anyhow, we'll continue reading here while we can. The Ritz Riders Motorcycle Club, Rockford, Illinois. As the end of the year approaches, we would like to briefly review some of the events that we sponsored during the past year. The season opened up with a famous closed club horse collar field meet. The winner of the horse collar was Virgil Grell. We held our hill climb at New Milford Ski Hill. One of the highlights of our season was our half-mile dirt track race at the well-known Pecatonica Fairgrounds. Drew a record crowd and a large group of well-known riders participated. Early in fall, we held our annual closed club endurance run. First and second places were to Virgil Grill and Charlie Briggs. In the middle of November, we had a turkey raffle. It was attended by riders and friends from neighboring towns. A short but tough turkey run was held the following day, which was won by Art Buskey, one of Rockford's outstanding hill climbers. On December 7th, a party was held for the winners of the 1940 activity contest. Trophies were awarded to Dick Stearman and Bert Schaefer. On February 14th, we are looking forward to our next annual pig roast. Randy Coleman, our honorary member, donates a 250-pound pig each year. This party always turns out to be one of the highlights of the season. Now stop here for a second. The big runs at Laconia, Daytona, and Sturgis, they all started as gypsy tours put on by local clubs with races, just like what you're reading here. That's where it started. Buckeye Girls Club, Columbus, Ohio. Buckeye Girls Club. There were a lot of women riders, the motor maids. We have had a very busy and successful year. Everything has gone smoothly, and our refreshment stands, which the boys let us handle, made us a nice profit. We have used this money for new uniforms and entertainment. Back then, most clubs had their own club uniform. We're talking people going out riding with bow ties. It's right in the accessory book, the bow tie. That was de rigueur. Everybody had a necktie. All the men had a necktie. Women had special shirts and sweaters and hats. People rode their motorcycles dressed up. I've got pictures of people working on machines with ties on in the teens. You went with a suit to work and worked in your suit and got it greasy. That's how people went to work. So now we have ordered club pins for all our members, which total 29 at present. These are very handsome pins in our club colors of scarlet and gray, and the pin guard has our charter number on it. Charter number 600. 600 Harley clubs. 600. That means that there's 600. There was more than 600. Doesn't say how many more past that. So there's a lot of clubs at this time around the country. One of our members, Elaine Beck, has been prosecuting miniature sombreros to wear on the lapel, and we are selling these at 15 cents each, the proceeds of which will go to the American Red Cross. We had a wonderful turnout at our Halloween party with prizes for costumes and games, and of course plenty of food and refreshments. November 17th, the boys had their annual turkey run for the 16th year in a row. We have helped check on this big event. We then served a Dutch lunch for 75 riders and spectators. Our meeting night is Wednesday, and the girls surely turn out for these affairs. On our wall hangs a chart with each girl's birth date, and on the meeting closest to her birthday, we have a handkerchief shower. This helps create an interest in club meetings attendance. Our point system chart also hangs on the wall, and a girl can rarely see at any time they're standing in the contest. We're planning a party to present the 2 activity trophies to the winners. As soon as the holidays are over, several of our members will leave for Florida and will stay for the races at Daytona Beach. Then it'll be time to start planning for the next spring. Best wishes to all the girls' clubs and auxiliaries. Sky Chief Motorcycle Club, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Although we are a comparatively new organization, we're coming along very nicely. We have moved into our new club headquarters. Officers are Ray Van Beck, President, Bob Haska, Vice President, Ray Anderson, Treasurer, Phil Martin, Secretary, Ray Engring, Business Agent, Lowell Theory, Road Captain. Now, I'm bothering to read the names for several reasons. A, it's here, and B, more importantly, these are your grandfathers and your great-grandfathers. Some of you boys out there might recognize the name. A lot of times, the relatives never bothered to tell the son and daughters and grandkids that they were motorcycle riders. I don't know why. What was so dangerous about riding around on Harley Davidsons in club uniforms? Like they're embarrassed by the time they had kids. I don't understand why parents do that to their children. You were young. Let your children know you were young. What you did. Badger Motorcycle Club, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. New officers are Ken Beshta, President, Will Sedens, Vice President, Henry Seeboff, Secretary, Henry May Jr., Treasurer, Lawrence Butzlaff, Referee. These officers and Carl Newth constitute the board. We are planning a lot of winter activities. In a short time, we'll begin to think about our program for 1941. I believe it is only fair to give Gus Stenmark, one of our members, a little bit of ink. Gus has been high point member in our club as far as winning the lion's share of endurance runs during the past year. Probably his greatest feat was placing third in the Class A at the National Championship Endurance Run in Columbus, Ohio. Gus has also won a number of other local runs as well as runs throughout the state. Other members of our club who won endurance runs during the past year were Harry Peters, Willard Bold, Harold Deckert, Ed Humphrey, and Jim Durkin. That's D-I-E-R-K-E-N. Saskatoon Motorcycle Club, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. We have just received the last copy of the Enthusiast, and boy, it sure is a pip. We feel a bit guilty for not doing our share, but so here we are, and we promise to be more regular in the future. We started our club in the latter part of August, and we had a couple of very spectacular hill climbs. There has not been a club in this city for quite a few years, and we really drew the crowds. For winter activities, we have meetings twice a month and some form of entertainment once a month. We had a very successful dance on the 15th of November with an hour of movies for our hill climb. Really good to see the gang dressed up for a change. Our goal for the winter is to make enough money to build a clubhouse on the side of the hill climb, which is the highest point in the city, on the bank of the South Saskatchewan River. Getting up to the hill is the finest kind of endurance run itself. Up and down steep knolls, sharp turns, huge rocks, and deep trails, which is full of water in the spring and long after it rains. We have great possibilities here. Too bad we didn't look for them sooner. We're also contacting the management of county fairs. We have to do a bit of trick riding for a very nominal sum, which will help boost the club's treasury. Doug Wood is Vice President and Acting President. Neville Mitchell is Secretary. You'll hear reports from us regularly. We'll guarantee you that. Buffalo Patrol Motorcycle Club, Buffalo, New York. On October 6th of this present year, a group of active local riders formed our club, whose membership has since increased 30% and is still growing. 3 days after the birth of the club, we were seen sporting scarlet red riding shirts on which we proudly displayed the Buffalo Patrol Motorcycle Club and an AMA emblem. November 14th was a lucky day for us, as our card party turned out to be very successful. This encouraged us to hold another sometime in the future before the summer riding season opens again. The proceeds of these parties are to be used for the purchase of club uniforms for the members. We all went on the yearly turkey runs held by the various clubs in our section. They are plenty muddy and watery with patches of road once in a while to make it interesting. The local endurance run was plenty cold, but 26 riders went on a merry way despite this and received the first touch of winter's chill winds. Next year we are going to sponsor a run, and it's going to be a dandy. Take it from us. A few of our members are all year-round riders, while the rest of us never travel less than 10,000 or more than 22,000 miles in a regular riding season per individual. The officers of the club are Bill Weiss, President, Bud Newman, Secretary, Bud Becker, Treasurer, Brad Eisenhart, Counselor, and Ed Pop, Referee. Guess we had better sign off now before this gets too long. we'll be seeing you. Intranews Motorcycle Club, Marion, Indiana. Motorcycling went high-hat in Marion, Indiana. Tuesday evening, November 26th, when we held our victory banquet. It was a banquet featuring a chicken dinner with all the trimmings, prepared by a group of farmer ladies, and served by the Giant Country chapter of the Isaac Walton League. This grand affair was the final for the 1940 season activities contest sponsored by us, in which some 150 motorcycles from various parts of Indiana participated. The contest ran throughout the year and included many events such as economy tests, endurance runs, hill climbs, hare and hound chases, gypsy tours, scavenger hunts, and other events. More than 100 business and professional men of Marion were guests at this event, which is held in honor of the motorcyclists who won awards in the various contests. Among the famous guests present were E.G. Cannonball Baker. Ever hear of Cannonball Baker, guys? If you haven't, look him up. Old-time writer and secretary of the American Motorcycle Association, E.C. Smith. Motion picture films are shown of several recent sporting events in Marion, including both the 1939 and 1940 National Tourist Trophy races. The rider winning the highest number of points in the year's motorcycle activities who won the first place trophy was Wayne Street, a hometown boy. Awards were presented and cyclists were introduced by E.W. Zirkley, president of the Intranews Club. Other awards were made to Gladys Smith, Bob Cox, Henry Mitchner, Neil Lynn. Awards were also went to John Devine, Jay Harmon, and Lloyd Thornburg. Other cyclists were eligible to attend the banquet were Dorman Schrake, J.C. Ballard, Glenn Carter, Don Thorne, Harry Hamilton, William Pierce, Charles Terry, Richard Reinhardt, Jack Walker, James Ashcroft, Hall of Marion, D. Leibarger of Geneva, Ralph Sweetheart of Fort Wayne, Anthony Leeper of Bryant, Jas Quackenbush of Eaton, Merle Griffith of Fort Wayne, Everett Cockrell of Anderson, Melvin Bryant of Portland, Bruce Aries of Indianapolis, Bob Pettit of New Waverly, Vera Dorn of Columbus, Indiana. A novel surprise feature of the party was a special table in the center of the room reserved for that old gang of mine. 20 men seated at the table of the old school of riders of more than a quarter of a century. Quarter century from 1941. So that would be from prior to 1916. Went through World War I, been riding since single speeds were the order of the day. More than a quarter century ago, most of whom belonged to the first Marion Club organized by Glenn Scott in 1909. In 1909, a little company by the name of Royal Pioneer came out with a novel invention called a clutch. They didn't make very many Royal Pioneers, they're pretty rare. More than 100 prominent businessmen of the community were guests of the club, including bankers, manufacturers, physicians, attorneys, dentists, city and country and state officials, ministers, school teachers, and others. So at this time, if you are an outstanding citizen of the community, you rode a Harley Davidson motorcycle. That's pretty amazing from where it went from there, thanks to the 1% clubs. Spinks Motorcycle Club, Belleville, Illinois. Last year we decided to sponsor an annual endurance run on the order of the famous Jack Pine and to give as a trophy a chromium-plated helmet instead of the cowbell as they do in the Jack Pine. This steel helmet was actually worn by an American soldier during the World War. During the World War. A year ago, Howard Burgard, a member of our club, had the honor of winning this steel helmet for the first time. This year, the new champion is Jack Smith of East St. Louis, a member of the East Side Club. Jack rode a great run to come in with the highest amount of points. Our auxiliary advertised that a trophy would also be given to the girl riding with a high point man. There were plenty of girls riding double during the run. The 20 riders started out at 9 a.m. for one of the toughest runs we believe has ever been held in the country. Things went along fairly smoothly until we get out of town quite a ways. Then they began to run in a lot of red clay. At this point, a lot of the entries dropped out, but some of the more determined boys started But some of the more determined boys started taking off front fenders so their front wheel would turn. Taking off one of them fenders in the middle of the road in clay? Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. The fairer sex also did their part by cheerfully getting off in the mud and helping the boys push. Conditions got so bad as the run continued that at the third checking station, the entries caught up with the boys who were marking the course and who had decided to stop the run due to the fact that the balance of the course was completely flooded by an overflowing river. It was decided to judge the results of the contest by scores made at the first two checks. The big turkey supper with all the trimmings awaited the hungry riders when they returned to town. A large crowd of businessmen and officials were on hand to witness the crowning of the 1940 steel helmet champion, Jack Smith. Jack rode a 61, and his wife Edna rode with him. It was a big day for the Smith family as they won 3 trophies, the steel helmet, the girls' trophy, and the sidecar class. That's why he made it through, he had tools. Class A trophy was won by Howard Bogard. Class B trophy went to Buzz Bowman of the Nighthawks, Club of Olney, Illinois. So we're going to look at this little photo here and stop this little edition of Todd's bedtime stories.
Okay, well,
Can you get in here?
bring the book forward this way. Lower.
Right there?
I see, lower it more. Right there.
Okay.
It's hard to see it anywhere, but
How's that?
yeah, that's better. But lower a little bit more.
Right there?
There, right there,
Okay.
right there.
Now all these boys are on motorcycles. They're all in sparkling uniforms. Greyhound MC. I can't read where it's at. It says, presenting one of the outstanding clubs of the East, the Greyhound Motorcycle Club of Elizabeth, New Jersey. And have just concluded 2 sessions of undefeated competition in uniformed club contests.
Move your hands covering the picture. There we go.
This is how people rode. Club uniforms, fully dressed up.
Wow.
You know, their bikes were sparkling. They had bling everywhere. People really took pride in their appearance, how they walked, how they talked, how they presented themselves and their mark. All that changed after the war. The more the 1%ers pushed their way of living, the more this was run down. The claps came down on everybody because they couldn't tell the difference. Prior to the war, this was it. There were no 1% clubs. The World War II changed all that. You'll find out. Going further this history. So anyhow, we're going to stop this little thing for tonight. And I'm going to go off to Dixon. And we'll continue this here when I get back. You all have a very merry weekend.